Hello and welcome to Chaos to Clarity, the podcast that's your compass to navigate the exciting world of service-based businesses. If you're a determined woman in your current business adventure, striving to conquer the chaos and build your empire, then you are in the right place. I'm your host, Maggie, your go-to business bestie and chaos navigator. I've spent nearly 2 decades in the service-based industry, building a photography business, a yoga studio, and now a thriving coaching practice. I've cracked the code to consistent income without all the chaos and noise. So get ready to increase your business growth, connect with your ideal clients, and find ease in both business and in life. It's time to turn your frustrations into inspiration and your chaos into clarity. So go ahead and grab your coffee, a pen and paper, and let's dive into the journey of building your dream service-based business together. Are you ready? Let's go. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chaos to Clarity podcast. My name is Maggie, your business bestie and Chaos to Clarity coach. I am here today with Brianna, and I'm going to let her tell you all about who she is. So tell us who you are, who you serve, and just kind of a little bit of what you're about.
Sure. So I'm Brianna Hosak. I am a mom of 3. I am an aligned impact and productivity coach for spiritual, ambitious, boss moms, usually who have ADHD. Not a requirement, but very commonly they do. And I help them to tap into their intuition and get into alignment so that they can scale up their businesses and step into the impact that they want to make without burning out and without sacrificing their super precious time with their little ones. So yeah, that's my business. And as far as I go, like I love helping women get their voices heard. I love my biggest focuses are helping women get into leadership roles more, helping moms stay home with their kids and still be able to follow their dreams and pursue their passions. And then also having entrepreneurship become more of the norm globally, because I think that people thinking outside the box are what it's going to take to fix the big problems in this world. So yeah, so I have lots of goals around that as well. So definitely multi-passionate entrepreneur, very much with the ADHD, and I am very much the H in ADHD, the hyperactive. So I do 1,000 things a minute, and I have, kind of irons in the fire at all times. And did that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. I love that so much because I can definitely relate to that, right? Like always having like 100 things in the fire, and like there's always something going on in my brain that's thinking like 10 steps in a different direction, right? It's like, okay, I have these tasks to do today, and then my brain is like, let's think about, I don't know, just something really crazy, right? Like just off the wall of like, what would happen if you grew a garden in the backyard, right? And I'm like, no, yes, I want to do that, but also like I have things that I want to focus on here. So yes, I can totally relate to having just a lot of things going on, right? And enjoying it too, right? Like if I don't have 100 things going on, I'm like, okay, why is it so quiet?
It's boring. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
boring. And it's not like, I have to have that, like, not busyness, but just choice, like the ability to choose from all the different options, right? When whatever is going to really light me up that day or whatever.
Yeah. And I think, we were talking a little bit before we started recording about manifesting generators, about human design.
Yeah.
And I've done quite a bit of reading about, different profile types and, all that stuff. Mainly out of the curiosity of like, why does my 5-year-old daughter and why do we butt heads so much, right? I'm also a manifesting generator. And it turns out she's a projector, which they like to do things a lot differently than I do, right? So it's not a surprise that we butt heads. So, like me going 100 miles a minute is it's too fast. I am, quote unquote, too much for her. I have to
Yeah.
remind myself to like slow down and, like invite her and do things that are more helpful to her, right? So that she can
Yeah.
understand how to empower herself.
Yes. And I love that because a huge part of why I think that, um, or why I focus so much on mom entrepreneurs is because I think that they are actually the most influential subset of entrepreneurs because we have the multi layers, right? We've got our communities and our children and whatever impact that we are specifically having in the world. And it's just so many layers of impact, right? And I think it's really important because we're teaching the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
So huge, huge. And helping them to verbalize what they need and also showing them what it feels like to have what they need given to them, right? And
Right.
so having to learn that ourselves, that can be really, really tough. I 100% get that. My 12-year-old and I are the ones with the bump heads like that. So I definitely understand.
Yeah, and for me, it got to the point where I was like, just laying awake in bed at night thinking like, oh my gosh, one day she's going to be 12 or 13 and she's really just not going to want to talk to me. And I want her to feel safe.
Yeah,
Like I get it, 12 and 13-year-olds. Yeah, we're going to butt heads. I get that, but like, I want her to know that she can always come to me or to us, right? My
yeah,
husband too, and that we are that safe space for her. So I'm like, out
yeah,
of like necessity to like understand like what is going on, it was like, okay, I'm interested in human design, I want to know what she is. Maybe I can speak to her with a different like tone or language, or just understand some of
yep,
those nuanced things. And that that helped so much. So, like I know we're not here to talk about human design today, but for if anyone is listening to this and they're struggling, I definitely would tap into that as a resource to say, okay,
yeah.
I just think different and I act different. How can we, like kind of
Well,
combine
and
those?
how awesome to be able to set your kids up for success by being aware of their own human design too, right?
Right.
I haven't delved too much into what my kids' human designs are. I did like do up their charts, but I was so brand new to it that I was like, what am I looking at? So I haven't looked too far into it because that was like a rabbit hole that I knew was gonna like take
Yeah.
all my attention for
Yes.
a really long time. And I was like, no, no, not right now.
Right.
But someday I am so fascinated by it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and even for moms who are entrepreneurs, right? Who identify as having ADHD, whether you're like officially, like prescribed, not prescribed,
Diagnosed,
diagnosed,
diagnosed.
there's the word,
Yeah.
right? Like whether you're, officially diagnosed or not. Like I am not diagnosed, but I know I have ADHD tendencies, right? Like
Yeah.
understanding some of those nuances about myself has really helped me grow as an entrepreneur, right? It's helped me grow my businesses. It's also helped me be a better mom and a better partner, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I know when I get in my head and I'm like running those rabbit holes of like the dishes aren't done, this isn't done, everything is a mess, blah blah, like getting mad at like something that I haven't voiced, or like getting way ahead of myself in like all these things. Like, no, okay, take a step back, right? Like come back to
Yeah.
you. You have to ask sometimes for these things to be done, right? Like
Yeah.
I have to verbalize it, right? So being able to verbalize it at home and in my business for me has helped me kind of level out some of those like ADHD things of like there's this and there's this and there's this and there's this, and like
Yeah.
kind of brought me down out of that chaos, right? Out of that
Yep.
spiral of like, oh my gosh, there's so much. I'm just going to go lay down now.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
totally.
not going to do anything.
And that's a big part of what I do with the people that I work with is simplifying,
Mm-hmm.
actually, so that things aren't so chaotic. So I love your what do you call that? Like your tagline or whatever, the
Yeah.
chaos to
Chaos to
the
clarity.
clarity thing,
Yeah.
because it's I mean that's not like the only my main focus, but simplicity and keeping things a little bit less complex and chaotic is
Right.
huge to what I do, because like I said, most of the women I work with are ADHD or have ADHD. And again, this is because I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's who I call in, right?
Right.
Um, but so all of my methods and systems and strategies and everything are all based around working with your agency. So that's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important to meet yourself where you're at, right? If you are like constantly running up against a wall and nothing's working, right? To be able to say, okay, I know this isn't working. I need help, right? Like, and then calling in people who you know or think can help you, right? And trying
Yeah.
different things and being okay with, okay, I'm going to try this and I'm going to do my best to stick with it for, I don't know, X amount of days, right? Like do these same things and see, is it getting easier, and understanding that. I think that can sometimes be the hardest part around, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
trying new strategies, connecting with new people, even growing a business is it's one of those things where you have to be creative enough to step forward, but also brave enough to take those steps forward and know like, okay, I think this is going to work. Maybe we're going to try it, and I'm going to do it as
Mm-hmm.
simple as possible so I don't get stuck in those what if thoughts.
Yeah. And a part of what you said there, like the giving yourself a little bit of grace for um maybe what you might call missteps. I think like more learning experiences, like you learn from everything that you do. So
Mhm.
if you know something doesn't go according to plan, allowing that to be okay and to still move forward and not have it like completely flatten you and stop you from any momentum that you're building, right?
Right.
um and that's huge when it comes to scaling up your business um or really dialing in what you're supposed to be doing, what feels amazing for you and all of that. Because if you beat yourself up over every misstep, then you're not going to want to keep trying, right? You're not going to want to put that foot forward. You're not going to want to take the leap of faith. You're not, you know, and I also loved what you said about sticking with something for a certain number of days. Like, give it a chance to work, right? Because
Hmm.
I think a lot of the time we can be really impatient and expect something to work the first time. And it's like,
Right.
you know, it's the whole baby walking concept.
Hmm.
Like you know, we don't give a baby crap for not being able to walk the first time that they try.
Right.
So why are we giving ourselves such a hard time every time we try to do something new and different? So um, allowing ourselves to fall down again and again and again if necessary, and really um, believing in what we're doing and sticking with it anyways, and being willing to, you know, pivot a little bit when we need to learn or to figure out what's going to work better for us,
Hmm.
but also be able to, you know, stick again, keep trying and
Hmm.
keep on getting back up again and practicing and you know, you and I were talking about we love to learn, and I do. I'm definitely a lifelong learner. Um, but with that comes understanding that I don't know everything and that I need to give myself that grace, right? And so
Right.
that's a huge part of what I do is the mindset work around accepting ourselves for who we are, standing in our power, and like, just because I didn't get this the first time doesn't mean I suck, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's so easy to fall into. So especially as women, you know, we tend to really expect a lot of ourselves, and society expects a lot of moms in particular.
Hmm.
And we expect a lot of ourselves as moms. That's been kind of trained into us. Um, don't even get me started on the patriarchy, because I will go on and on and on.
But that's so
But
true. That's so true. Even thinking about just how much society expects of a mom with a newborn, right? Like that bounce back from baby, like that, right?
Yeah.
Like that. And I don't know who came up with that. I don't know why, right? But there's like, I will never have my pre-baby body, right? Like it simply will
Yeah.
not happen, right? Like my body
Even
is
when I lost all the weight, it didn't
right,
mean that I didn't have a different body. Like
right.
breastfeeding changes your body, stretch
Yes.
marks change your body, like all this,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And learning to accept it and love your body anyways is hard.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
hard, but it is, yeah, it's empowering.
Right.
Good.
It is. It's so empowering. And I think, so before I started my coaching business, I owned a yoga studio.
Mhm.
And something that I really, I guess, preached, I suppose, right? Like stood on the soapbox is like, love your body where you're at right now. It's okay if you can't touch the ground. It's okay if you never touch the ground, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what I look like in a pose. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you feel good moving through this, right? And that's just, just a yoga, like something that I
Yeah.
talked about in class, but I
I
really
love yoga. Yeah.
yeah. And I really feel like as I've evolved in my coaching business and, like I closed the yoga studio to start this business, that is something that I brought forward with me was the mindset of like, like meet yourself where you're at, have some grace, get up and if you're feeling stagnant, get up and move your body. It doesn't matter what it looks like. If you're
Yeah.
dancing and hopping around in the living room, fine, great. If it's going outside for a walk, fine, great. If it's staying in down dog for 5 breaths, fine, great, right? Like
Yeah.
moving that stagnant energy oftentimes gives your brain the opportunity to like windshield wiper the
Mhm.
rain off and say, oh, okay, I don't need those thoughts. Goodbye. Right. And
Yeah.
it brings space for you to bring this whole new set of thoughts of like, okay, I shook off all the stagnant energy. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to move forward with whatever I'm working on. Right. Whether it's
Yep.
moving forward in business, whether it's, attempting to homeschool your children, whether it's cleaning the house, whatever, right? Whatever it is, the million things that are on a
Mhm.
woman's to-do list. So, yeah, I think that's really awesome. And always coming back to that mindset of like, everything is figure outable. I just had to
Yes.
figure out how I need to do it, right? How I can do
Yep.
it. I
Yep.
think that's really powerful as a woman to know like my steps forward don't have to look the same as yours, and they probably won't, right? We're two
Yeah.
individual people. And to be able to
Yep.
celebrate that, right? Like celebrate those little tiny victories because they add up so much over time.
Yeah. And I mean, that's huge just with coaching in general, right? Because every client that we have is different from every other client. And they need to find their own unique path. And to be, in my opinion, a really good coach, you need to be able to be flexible like that and be able to, like, there's no cookie cutter strategies, right?
Right.
And being able to adjust for every client and like intuitively a little bit, like what's going to work for this person. And also if they say it's not, being so stuck on like, oh, it has to be this way. So yeah, that's, as a coach, that is super, super important as well. As
Mm-hmm.
well as, as a mother, that's obviously, and as a woman, and as
Right.
everything, as a business owner, but especially as a coach, you have to be able to do that for other people as well. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the most powerful questions I have ever been asked in a coaching situation that I now ask my clients is how do you like to be coached? Do you like
mm,
feedback? Do you like kind of a done with you, right? Like walk alongside you, hold your hand? Do you like stern feedback? Do you want just like a learning environment, right? Like how do you learn? How do you take in information and how do
yeah,
you move forward the best? And for me, I'd never been asked that question before. And when I was asked that, I was like, oh, me? Really? Like, oh, like I wasn't quite sure how to
at first it's
answer
like,
it.
I don't know.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't
It's
know
like,
how I want to
I
be
don't,
coached. Yeah.
I don't know, like I like to be able to learn. But for me personally, I like it when people can give me like, here's an assignment, go and do this. We're meeting again in a week. Have these 2 or 3 things done, right? Like an
Right.
easy
Right.
way for me to then see those wins along the way.
Yeah.
So, that's something I now ask of my clients, like, how are you best coached? Because I want to be able to show up as that person that you need to be, right? Not necessarily
Yep.
change myself, but if you need those little assignments, I know that because I want you to be able to take away from our coaching relationship everything you need to, really accelerate and jump and grow in your business.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Cool. So, what is something challenging that you have overcome in your business? And I know this is probably like a super loaded question, but if there's just like, I'm sure there's a million things, but what is something that really stands out as something you've overcome?
In my business.
Yeah, in your business or
Um,
just in your time as an entrepreneur, right? If this isn't or hasn't been your only business, like just in the last however many years.
yeah. So I've been an entrepreneur for a little over 10 years now. And hmm, that's a really good question. So something that I've overcome, okay, this is kind of it's a bit of a mix. So I really believe like with entrepreneurship, it ties so much into the rest of our lives. It's a little bit different than the whole like leave work at work and
Right.
all of that kind of thing. Um, but so I was running both my businesses at once um, last June. I had my highest month in income in June of 2022, and um, I also left my husband that month,
Okay.
and that was obviously a really challenging time overall, not just in business. But what ended up happening was I had I had previously let go of, so I was running a day home out of my house. That was one of my businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had let go of all of my part-time and drop-in clients before that because my online business was picking up. And so I just needed that like consistency in my schedule and knowing when I was going to have time to work on my other business and so on. So I had let go of all of them and I had started to contemplate like maybe I can just do this online business. Maybe I can just do the coaching and just have that um, where I get to just be with my kids. Like I
Mm-hmm.
loved working with other kids, but I also wanted to just be with my kids.
Right.
And so I had started thinking about that and like maybe I should like as and I didn't want to like fire anybody kind of thing. Like I loved my clients, and so I was like, no, I will like I'll keep them until they age out. But
Mm-hmm.
then after that, um, you know, and and then so as soon as I left my husband, I got my own place with my three kids. Um, and the universe really answered my thoughts. And every single day home client pulled out.
Wow.
I had the day that I signed the check for like the monthly rent payment. I told one of the day home clients, and in the same sentence, she was like, "Okay, well, my son is done after this month," and I was like, "Oh."
Oh,
And she was so she was pregnant. She was going on maternity leave early. Like I knew it was coming, but I didn't think it was coming that quickly.
sure.
And uh, and then within a week, the second one was like, I'm only in till the end of the summer because I'm moving. And I was like, oh. And then and then like partway through the summer, I got the third one that was like, yeah, we won't be back in September. So this one was a teacher, so her kid didn't come over the summer, and she's like, we won't be back in September because I'm putting her in like a preschool slash daycare
Sure.
combo thing. So she's in one place and doesn't have to be like transferred back and forth. And I was like, yeah, totally, like makes
Yeah.
sense. Every single one of them, like it wasn't about me. Like I said, I loved all these clients. I still talk to them all, like,
Sure.
you know, um, but I literally lost like one after the other, all my day home clients. And I was like, hey, the universe listened to me faster than I thought it was going to, or even than I wanted it to. But why would I replace those clients when obviously this is what's supposed to be happening? And so I
Right.
didn't. And I took that leap of faith, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh my gosh, but okay. And I actually at the same time, I had a one-on-one client, her contract was ending. I didn't have like the bandwidth to re-sign her or anything because I had just left my husband. And then I had another one who stopped being able to pay. And she was, single mom struggling, same thing. And so I was just like, I get it. Like whatever, I had to like bless and release. And it was like one thing after the other. So I went from, it was actually like almost an 8K month to zero in under 2 months.
Yeah.
It was insanity. Like I actually, after the first few, I burst out laughing every time something happened because I was like, are you kidding me? I had so many sources of income and they were all gone. And I was like, I had been so sure that I would be able to provide for myself and my kids. And so when I left, I was like, yeah, it's going to be, no problem. And then it was just like, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, are you for real? And so it was a real test of my strength, my staying power, kind of to not, because I had been running my day home for like 10 years. And so I was like, I know how to get day home clients really quick. Like I could just fill up my day home again. But I was like, no, like I closed my day home. I'm done with that chapter.
Right.
And so like just having the focus to be like, hey, like I'm doing this coaching business thing. I'm sticking with this and just this, and being able to spend the time being present with my kids and all of that. And so, it was kind of like the universe was testing me a bit, like, you really want what you say you want, right? And so it took me a good 6 months. I mean, I was also, I did a shamanism certification, level 1 shamanism certification. In that 6 months, I illustrated 3 children's books, a series of books on entrepreneurship. In that 6 months, and those are published now. Like, I did so many things, but it was like a good 6 months to get my income back flowing again. Even a little bit. And so I would say that was probably the most challenging period in my business. And it was very tied into what was going on in my life. But it was, choosing to have faith that even though it was like a rough patch, that I was still going to be able to succeed and still going to be able to keep going and trust that everything would be okay. And that, as I always have in my life, I would make things happen. And I have been able to, and it's been amazing. Stressful as all hell, but also amazing, right? Like both things at once. And so that's definitely the most challenging thing that has come up for me in business.
Yeah. And, I think that's just really amazing that you stayed, right? That you stuck with it and that you weren't willing to back down, right? Because you knew in your gut, you knew that what you wanted. And I feel like every time I ask the universe for something and the universe delivers, and then the universe keeps delivering, it's one of those like, oh, you want this? Okay, here it is, right? And it's kind of like, okay. I get it. Okay, let me reframe that desire.
It's never quite exactly what you thought it would be, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's sometimes things like that are like, so I live in the Midwest, right? I live in Wisconsin, and this time of year, always crazy, right? It can be 18 degrees in the morning and 70 degrees in the afternoon, literally snow in the morning, rain in the afternoon, right? Like Wisconsin weather just doesn't know what it wants. And I feel like that is sometimes the universe, like in a business situation, right? When you're like, please, universe, just show me a sign. And then the universe is like, oh, here is a little sign. And then you're like, oh yeah, great. And then it's like, here's the rest of it.
Yeah.
How do you like
it? Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And it's like those, I don't know if you've ever seen those memes where it's like, me asking the universe for a sign, and then it shows like a picture of the universe totally giving them that sign, and then them being like, yeah, but I kind of need a signier sign.
Right. Yes. Yep.
And it was like, yep, that was my sign. I should have listened the first time because it always gets more intense the next time around.
Yes, yes, absolutely, 100%. Oh, that's crazy. So after, going through all that, what is one piece of advice that you would tell your younger self? Now, this could be yourself from last year. This could be yourself from, I don't know, way back when. But what is something that you would tell your younger self?
Save some of the money instead of reinvesting it all right away. Because I've always been, I love investing in myself. I love investing in my business. Like I said, I love to learn. So like I always like hire a coach. I've always got, all these things. And while that's fantastic, some savings would have really helped.
Mm-hmm.
but um, but I think my biggest thing would be really knowing just how limitless we are, because through all that struggle, through all of the pain and like, yeah, I chose to leave, but does that mean that I wasn't struggling? Absolutely not. Like emotionally, I was
Right.
a wreck,
Yeah.
and my kids were a mess, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet everything that I held in that 6 months, and really it was in its own way, it was a huge blessing that I didn't have a ton of coaching clients during that time, because I was, like I said, I had these other projects going on. I was doing these other things, and they were really important too.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of gave me the space to work on those things, but also, um, yeah, just really, really acknowledging like just how amazing I would tell myself to like really acknowledge how amazing I am. And I preach the grace thing all the time, give yourself grace, but I need to work on it myself a little bit, I've discovered, right? Because over that 6 month period, it was like, why aren't you handling this better? And really like, who would be, right? Like
Right.
it was
Yeah.
so huge. But it was just, like we expect so much of ourselves. And um while we're limitless, it's also like it doesn't happen all in one moment. And so, you know, believing in everything, but also being able to like, okay, but right now,
Mm-hmm.
this is what this is what's incredible. And I'm still incredible, and I'm still worthy, and I'm still, and like one of my biggest things is that I discovered about myself was like, um it was almost like a self-sabotage, the income thing, because it was like, well, how dare I leave my
Mm-hmm.
husband and still succeed,
Mm-hmm.
and still not fall flat on my face, and still
Mm-hmm.
not, and so it took a little bit for me to like wrap my head around that mindset of like, it's still okay for me to be amazing.
Right.
Just because I had a failed marriage doesn't mean that I have to suck. Right. So it just
Right.
was like, it just, yeah, yeah. So just kind of re-accepting that I had no limits, and that I could do anything that I put my mind to. And also that even with the struggles, I was still worthy. So that was,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's probably,
Yeah. And I think that's just a really great reminder for everyone, right? To know that, like,
yeah.
yeah, you are limitless and you're worthy, right? Like, you are worthy of all of those hopes and dreams. And you have all the opportunities to be able to chase them and to go after them. And, just what a great reminder of like being grounded in yourself, right? Like in knowing and always coming back to you, right? Coming back to your person and reminding yourself that like, yep, I am whole, I am enough, I am worthy, those those mindset like ideations, like all of the mindset stuff. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's super wooey, I don't like it, da 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 da, right? Like, and I get it because I was there not all that long, right?
Yeah,
Like
same.
within the last 8 years, I was like, what is this mindset stuff. I
Yeah.
am not, I don't think this is for me, right? Until I started doing it and I started seeing it work, right?
Yes.
And when I started seeing it work, I was like, this works. This works.
Yes.
Hey, all right. You know, it's one of those things I was like, just gonna gently set everything down and this is working. Okay, good job. Awesome. So my last question for you today is, if you were a kitchen utensil or gadget, what would you be and why?
Oh my goodness, that's a new one. What would I be? Hmm. Either. Because I love to mix it up.
Yes, I love it.
I yeah, I think that's what a different question. I love it.
Yeah, you know, it's one of my
That's so
favorite
unique. It's
questions.
perfect.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite questions to ask. I used to ask it a lot in yoga teacher training when I taught yoga teacher training. It was one of those questions where everyone has to stop and think. And then I love the reasons why, right? Like it's just such a fun way to like get to know someone on a whole new level.
Yeah, it is. That's incredible. I
That's
love it.
awesome. All right. So go ahead and tell everyone where they can connect with you and how to find you. I'll drop all the links below, but let everyone know how they can get in touch with you.
Okay, yeah. So best place, other than my actual website, is like I mainly focus on Facebook, and so I have an incredible Facebook group where it's very like women helping women, giving each other a leg up, everybody being super supportive of one another. It's a great community. So that is my main spot, and then yeah, on my website, and um, I will, yeah, like I mean, I'll absolutely give you like all my links and all of that stuff to drop. My For anybody who is starting out in business, I have a membership. It's a very low ticket membership. It's just because I was at the point before, right? And I've been back again since, and now I'm back out of it again. But where I couldn't afford even like a $20 a month membership, so it's even lower than that. And but very very high value business support. I have invested, like I said, I love to reinvest back into my business. So I've invested tens of thousands into learning how to run a business. And like I said, I've been running businesses for over 10 years now. And so I've got lots of value to give. And while I'm not like specifically or only a business coach, it's a business focused membership, and it is, like I said, it's super high value. So for anyone who's starting out, the reason that I started this is so that I could empower more mom entrepreneurs to follow their passion and still be home with their babies. And so that's a really, really good place to start with me if anyone's looking to work with me. Aside from my Facebook group, which is again an incredible place to be. So
Awesome.
if I do
Awesome.
say so myself.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I'm in there. So definitely come and hang out with me in Brianna's Facebook group. Brianna,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being on today. I'm so excited. It's been so amazing to connect with you, get to know you, be in your Facebook group, and just understand how you really support women.
Yeah. And I thank you so much for having me on. And again, yeah, it's been great getting to know you more too. And I look forward to continuing our relationship as we go forward.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, what a great interview. Thank you so much for showing up here on the Chaos to Clarity podcast. Again, my name is Maggie. I'm so excited to connect with you. You can find all of the information, all of the links below in the show notes for today's interview. And I hope you have the best day ever.